Hello, everyone. Welcome to Kiki and Kibitz. It's me, Mary, and I am back for my take two. I am here with my 90-day fiance, the other way recap for season 6, episode 15, Fools Rushed In. I attempted to upload a video earlier, and about halfway through, my sound went out. I apologize to you guys who were watching me earlier, and my sound went out halfway through, and I realized there was a loose wire on my mic. I don't know how it got loose in the middle of me recording, but yes, my sound did go out, and it was partially my fault. So, thank you guys for coming back. Thank you for joining me. Let me know if at any time you can't hear me. Okay, I made sure everything was plugged in tightly, so hopefully I won't fuck this up again. So, thank you everyone for coming back, and let's get into this recap. You know what they say, sometimes second time around is better. So first of all, we have Shekinah and Sarper, and I swear these two, they share one fucking brain. This whole episode is filled with fools. Okay, so the title was very fitting, if I may say so myself. So Shekinah and Sarper, they share the same fucking brain, and Shekinah is getting a nose job. It's going to be her third one. Okay. She had her first one, I think she said at 17 or something, and then 10 years later. So now this is going to be her third one. And believe it or not, Starper doesn't want her to do it. Starper tells her, no, you're beautiful the way you are. You are going to look like a factory production. I mean, is it just me, or were you guys just as shocked to hear Sarper say that he didn't want her to do it? I mean, if anything, I would have thought he would have been all on board, encouraging her, but no. And he was so anxious about the whole thing. So, she's getting the surgery done by one of the best plastic surgeons in Turkey. Here is the surgeon talking about how your nose should be in scale to your face, and that there should be a certain amount of space here and a certain amount of space here and a certain amount of space here. Turns out Shekinah has way too much space in the middle of her nose. She has loose cartilage. Okay. So it causes her nose to droop when she smiles. So, Sarper's like all into it, paying attention to every word the doctor says, because after all, he's the one that's going to have to look at this nose every day, not the doctor. So, excuse me, doctor. Dr. Sarper has his marker ready, and he wants to, draw out his dream nose on Shekinah, because after all, he's the one that's going to be looking at it every day. So now the doctor says, even though, that was a kind of controlling, weird move by Sarper, he did have some points, and he may follow his suggestions. So, okay, it's the day of Shekinah's surgery, and Sarper is an anxious ball of nerves. Okay, he is like, I want to look at your nose one last time. He's like, Adonis isn't going to recognize you when you come back home. He is so anxious. Shekinah's like, I can't even concentrate on myself because I have to spend all my energy calming him down. So now this is going to be the real test of their relationship. Shekinah, as she pointed out, is not going to be her usual bubbly self after the surgery. She's going to be in pain and probably a little bitchy. And, Sarper's going to have to be her caretaker. How is he going to respond to this? Sarper himself says that he's never taken care of anyone before. So, let's see how this all works out. It's the day of surgery. It's going to be a 3-hour long surgery, which makes Sarper extremely nervous. So he kisses Shekinah and her old nose goodbye, and kind of gets wheeled down the hall into surgery, and we shall see. So the real test is Sarper being her caretaker. So if you guys were wondering what Shekinah's new nose looks like, well, this is her new nose and her new hair color. And like I said, these two, they don't share a brain between them, I swear. So I think they're kind of made for each other. So Shekinah's getting a new nose. Sarper got to design it. And so that was basically their segment this week. So now moving on to Joanne and Sean. I still get why Joanne thinks that everything should be okay. Like everybody should just like jump on board and you know like she's still living in this fantasy world that is coming crashing down in front of her face because her son, he has questions. He's not fucking happy about any of this. And his main question is, am I going to have to be a parent for my brother? And you know something? That's a legitimate fucking question. Because, like you said, if my mom lives in another country, my dad is 45 minutes away. If there's an emergency, what do I do? He's going to have to step into the parent role. His mom could jump on the next plane all she likes. He's going to have to step into the parent role at that moment. Okay, so her son had a bunch of valid points. He's not feeling any of this. Like Joanne says, when he doesn't want to deal with his feelings, he's like his mom, passive aggressive and sarcastic, and he is doing both big time. So now the boys are going back home with Noelle, Joanne's bestie, who ripped her a new one. Noelle was not happy with Joanne at all. She was like, what the fuck? First of all, you've been married for 2 years. And secondly, you're moving to Ireland, and I didn't know any of this. But the thing that I don't understand is how Joanne thinks that it was okay not to tell her kids. I get it. Don't tell your mom. Don't tell your bestie. You want to keep it between you and your husband, but you have children. Okay? Your husband has a child. You have two kids. I mean, what made you think in any realm of reality that this was going to be okay? I mean, even not telling them for a week, a month in my eyes is unacceptable. I mean, you married somebody and this person is going to be a part of their lives now. They have a right to know. But you know, she just expected everything just to be okay. Excuse me, guys, my allergies. Yes, Venus, I agree. Joanne doesn't think. She wasn't thinking. Sean wasn't thinking. The adults were not thinking in the situation. Okay. The only ones that are thinking about the future in the situation is Joey, the kid. Okay. So Noelle is like, I'm cool with Sean. I was afraid that, you know, this trip was going to be a disaster, that I was going to hate him, you know, where we were going to be staying in the same house and I'm not able to keep a poker face. So I was afraid, you know, this whole shit was going to be a disaster. But Sean turned out not to be a bad guy. So Sean's like, Joey, what do you think of this whole situation? And Joey's like, well, you guys have given me a week to process 2 years worth of information. So I'm still trying to process. Sean is like, that's fair. So they drop him off at the airport. The boys are getting ready to go back. Jesse, the younger one, says to Sean, bye, father, which I found funny. But like, I also believe that the boys use humor as a coping mechanism. Guilty of that. So anyway, the boys are getting on a plane back to the States. And like Sean said, now they are three. Uh, the adults in the situation weren't fucking thinking. Okay, the kids, once again, the kids have more brains than their parents. So moving on to Josh and Lily. Okay, so we pick up where we left off. Last week, Lily and Josh got into an argument in the car with Josh's brother Jared in the back seat. Jared looked like he wanted to jump out of the fucking car. So Josh says to Lily very sarcastically, "Thank you for ruining Jared's night." And Jared's like, "No, no, my night hasn't been ruined. No." So it turns out that Jared has been peacemaker before for Josh in his prior relationships. And, I'm starting to think that Josh was the common denominator in his prior relationships as being the problem, if his brother always had to step in to be a peacemaker. So they're at the night market where it's a variety of street food. So Lily has Jared try out some peach pear soup, and Jared has squid on a stick, and they sit down to have a conversation. So Jared basically tries to explain to Lily how Josh feels when Lily brings up about how much money she spends on him, especially since he can't contribute. Lily explains through her translator on her phone that she just wants Josh to show that he's grateful for everything that Lily's done for him. And, she doesn't care if he's rich or poor. She just wants love. Okay. And in her eyes, Josh isn't being grateful. Josh is not showing Lily that he loves her. So Jared says it looks like here what we have a case of is love language gender role reversal. It's usually the man who buys gifts for his wife, and the man wants the wife to be grateful for everything that he does for her. In this case, we have Lily stepping into the man role, so to say, and she's the one that's buying all these things and rebuilt her house and did all these things for Josh, and she just wants some appreciation from him. Josh admits he could be a little sensitive. Okay. And, Jared's like, you guys just need to fight for your relationship. You really love each other. You need to fight. I agree, Natalie. Lily thinks all the problems will go away, but Josh is the problem. I agree. Josh is the problem. So, Josh, when Josh uploaded a video to his TikTok, and I know when I shared it earlier, um, the um, the sound was kind of low, but it's the way he recorded his TikTok. I'm gonna play this for you guys. He talks about that scene in the car, okay, and to me, it's painfully obvious that he is no longer with Lily. Okay. And if you look at Lily's TikTok, there's no sign of Josh. Okay, so check this out.
Hello, Josh from 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way, Season 6, Episode 14. This week, my brother arrived in China. I was so excited to have my brother here with me. He gets to experience the culture, the environment, and he could also let my family know you got nothing to worry about because he's actually been there, he's seen it, and experienced it. Now, the car scene. Now, there's a time and place for everything, and I felt that was not the time and place, especially after hours of my brother arriving. I do understand Lily was upset because I was messaging his family before we started. And that's understandable. I get it. But I am 12 hours ahead of my family. And I feel that I need to take every chance I can to talk with them. And they were curious, how's filming going? How's the travel? Jared's going to be there soon. What do you guys got planned? And granted, this was filmed shortly after I arrived in China. So I haven't had much time to talk with family. You have a camera in your face the moment you land until the day they leave. So it's very stressful. Time is crunched. You don't have much privacy. And sometimes I just have to take every opportunity I can to speak with my family. But other than that, everything is doing good. I can't wait for after the tell all so I can share my story, share my adventure and my life experience from the day I arrived in China to the very last day of filming until now, because there is a big time difference. So people are missing out on my experiences and what I've done. I do look forward to sharing that. Hello.
Okay, I know the sound was really bad. So basically, he is saying that he believes there's a time and a place for everything. Okay. He understands Lily's frustration, but he had just arrived in China at the time, and he was 12 hours ahead of his family. So he had to take every opportunity he could to speak with his family, especially during filming, when you have a camera in your face from the minute you get off the plane until the minute they, until the minute they stop filming. You have very little privacy. So he took that opportunity before they sat down to dinner to text his family because they wanted to know how things were going, how filming was going. He understands why Lily got upset, but wishes that she didn't bring it up during that time in the car. He goes on to say that he can't wait for the season to be over so he could share his experiences from the time that filming ended until now, which leads me to believe that he is no longer with Lily. And that's basically it. Once again, I see it as him not taking accountability as being part of the problem. Lily is frustrated and it's a hot mess express, and I believe they are not together. So, and there we go. Now, moving on to the last full couple of this episode, Tata and James. So, guess what? Surprise, surprise. They have no money. Okay. They are struggling off their asses. James can't find a job. Tata doesn't have a job. They're living at home with her parents. But guess what? They're going to do an Indonesian wedding and spend $1,500 of money that they really don't have, which is a lot in Indonesian money, to have a second wedding for her family because her first wedding wasn't what she would have wanted it to be. It was during COVID. They couldn't have a lot of people. Her family wasn't there. So even though they don't have a pot to piss in, they're doing a second wedding. They're getting fancy clothes. Okay. James, his words, not mine, is going to wear a bucket on his head and a dress. Okay. And he starts talking about Tata's father being very controlling when it comes to the wedding. Okay. Um, he wants to increase the guest count. He wants to hire fancy live entertainment. He wants, to get all this fancy food, but he's not paying for any of it. Okay. So it's a lot of pressure on James. He doesn't have a job. He doesn't speak the language, so he can't get a job. He's the man. He's supposed to be providing for his wife. Okay. They're going to look at him like the asshole, not her. They're going to look at her like, oh, she's a poor girl that has a shitty husband who can't provide. So now he has to come up with money for this fancy wedding. He wants to get a job so he could move out of his in-laws house and provide for him and Tata. And it's just I'm like, okay, then why the fuck are we doing this wedding? And yes, Jen, he just had to tell us about the family jewels hanging free. It was like, yeah, thanks, TMI. So he's telling Tata that selling banana chips is not the solution to their problems. Okay. He needs like a viable job, not just helping his father-in-law sell banana chips. And of course, what does Tata do? She cries. And she's like, well, maybe you should make a better effort to learn the Indonesian language and not depend on me all the time to think for you and to translate. And he's like, you know something? That's not fair. Okay. Because I didn't throw you right into everything in the United States. I was there by your side. And for you to do that to me, that is really unfair. So now, if you're wondering what happened to their jewelry line, well, it's not doing very well. Partially because they can't get stores to carry their jewelry, because why would they carry their jewelry? It's going to take away from the sales of the stuff that they are already selling. Um Selling it online, sure, that's an option, but most of their customers are in the US and shipping is really expensive. So the jewelry business is not working. Um, she has even resorted to looking for jobs. Because did you know that she was a data scientist before she came to the United States? But all those jobs are in the city, which is 9 hours away by train. And it's really expensive to live in the city. So even if she was to get one of those jobs, she wouldn't be able to afford to live there with her salary, especially if James is not working. My question is, James is a elevator mechanic, right? The last time I checked, that's a skill. And even though he doesn't speak the language, is it possible that he could get himself hooked up somewhere just to fix fucking elevators? Like, I don't know. So they're sitting there and talking about, how they are basically running out of options. They are dipping into their savings big time. The savings is almost gone. And James is like, I'm starting to think that maybe the best option is for us to go back to the States. And she's like, I don't want to go back. I'm going to miss my family. I'm homesick. The doctors weren't able to figure out what was wrong with me, and we saw many, many, many doctors. No, I don't want to go back. And James is like, well, that might be our only option. And she's like, well, maybe you go back and I stay here. Girl, talk about wanting to throw your marriage vows away just like that. What happened with them for better or for worse, richer or for poor, sickness and in health? I mean, what happened to all that? One argument, you're like, you go back, I stay here. Damn, James, you're just kind of like throwaway, dispensable. Shit. So that is basically it. But Tata has figured out a way to get herself on Cameo. So if you guys want a cameo of her crying, hit her up. I'm sure she'll make you one. And it seems like, they're selling the banana chips online too. So they're trying to make some money for themselves. I see that they are also selling their jewelry online and all that good stuff. So James tried out McDonald's in Indonesia, and it turns out that it's the exact same as it is here. So James, when you're homesick, you could just go to McDonald's. That's basically it, guys. So the season sucks. I'm sorry that I fell behind on my recaps. I know I didn't do the past 2 weeks, but the episodes have been so painful for me. It's really hard for me to watch them. So thank you so much, guys, for joining me again. I'm sorry for the technical difficulties I had earlier this afternoon. Thank you for having patience with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.